We should be up and running. We got it. Fantastic. Well, it's a very big pleasure to be here today. And Tokyo is a wonderful, wonderful place, especially when we have sunshine. I grew up in California, and I just love the sunshine. So when I see Tokyo and sun, it just opens your heart. Today, I'm going to talk about another project that opens my heart, which is called MAAL, M-A-A-L, which stands for Mobile Autonomous Automobile Laboratory. It's a world premiere. I haven't told anyone about this. You're the first ones to see a brand new project. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I've been talking about autonomous automobiles for the past 20 years. Before Google, before DARPA, before anybody. And as most visionaries have, everyone tells them they're crazy. My colleagues in the car design industry said, well, if you're going to not drive cars, why should we design cars? Because it'll be just boring. Well, we're finding that more and more today, autonomous automobiles are becoming more of a reality. And thanks to companies like Google and many others around the world, they're becoming less of a threat and more of an opportunity. So I'd like to take you through this project whereby I'm going to stop just talking about cars. I'm actually going to build them and send them around the world to have many people able to use them. The first quote I'd like to say is from Arthur C. Clarke. It says, the only difference between dreams and reality is definition. Now, Steve just mentioned a very interesting series of tools to define your dreams. It's important to be able to think that if we have some bizarre ideas, it could be a form, it could be a concept, it could be an app. But we have to find tools to transform those ideas into something tangible, something sellable, something we can build and present to a CEO of the company and have them approve it and put it into production. So it's important for us, first of all, to dream a lot. Second of all, to transform those dreams into reality. That's what I'm going to do with my project today. Designers are kind of strange animals. Many designers probably, hopefully in the audience today. We live in the future, and as you well know, the further you go in the future, the foggier the road gets. Like driving in the fog. You can't quite see things with the same kind of clarity that you have today. We say today, the Nissan is selling and the Fiats are not selling. Okay, that's a reality today. What about 10 years from now? 20 years from now? 50 years from now? Not so easy to define exactly how things are going. So we're working a lot on things in the future, and those of us that live in the future have different set of indications that help us understand what's going to happen. For example, today, car designers create objects. In the future, it won't be that way. The future will be more experiential design and less object design. A good friend of mine is head of design at Microsoft. He used to work at Nike, making shoes and sunglasses and all kinds of sportwear. Now he says about 2 out of every 10 projects at Microsoft are objects. The rest of them are all apps, non-physical design projects. And I think we're going to go more and more towards that direction with automobiles, designing exterior experiences and interior experiences, not just physical form and things like that. So this is going to be an interesting transformation of the car design industry. Today, we're finding that the driving experience is not what it's cranked up to be. People are saying it's wasteful, it's unsatisfactory. There are problems like gas prices, smog, congestion, even accidents, and the D word, yes, also death is part of the driving experience. So we have to find new ways of getting past these problems, helping our consumers, our buyers, our clients, get better things. They want to have all the fun of automobiles, but not have all these problems. So it's our job to come up with ideas that are not going to fall into this. Well, there's a very staggering number which has been bothering me for the past 20 years, and it's the World Health Organization that says 1.2 million people die every year in car crashes. That's a terrible, terrible number. That's a war. It happens every year, every year. But most wars have a beginning and the end. This war has been going on for a long time. And I, as an automobile designer, feel responsible for that number. We are all responsible for that number. We have to find a way to stop killing people with our automobiles. So the best way to do that is to change the way we deal with automobiles in order that we can absolutely eliminate this and come down to a much, much smaller number. Cars, historically, for the past 100 years, have been very sexy objects, just beautiful, voluptuous shapes. This is the Lamborghini Miura, designed by the company I used to work for up until 5 minutes ago, a company called Bertone, and which no longer exists, by the way. And this beautiful, beautiful cars are the classical example of what sexy forms are like. Unfortunately, those are no longer satisfactory. There's no longer enough to make our clients feel that they're having a good job. What's going to happen? We're going to start seeing big, big changes in the car industry. If we don't change, the government's going to force us to change. And can you imagine driving around your car, even a Lamborghini, with this big sticker on the side saying driving kills? We'd be a little bit embarrassed to drive around in a car like that, right? But it happens on every cigarette package. Cigarette is the 4th leading killer in the world, and automobiles are the 8th leading killer in the world. So look, guys, it's coming. Whether we want it or not, whether we believe it or not, this is going to be a very possible, potential problem in the future. And the biggest problem we have today is that bumpers and structures and all these engineering amazing things that happen just cannot anticipate accidents. They protect you after the accident. They have nothing to do before the accident. So my goal is to work before the accident and try to find some way of avoiding accidents rather than protecting you after the accident. So here's where we're going in the future. Steve pointed out that the digital generation is coming. The young kids today being born are all very digital oriented. So we're going to have digital mobility, infrastructure, and ubiquitous connectivity. My favorite one is Internet of Things. How things are connected with other things in an internet of objects, which is going to change the way we believe, the way we deal with things around us. Kids today are being born into the internet environment. They are just all digital. Young kids today consider magazines broken iPads because they don't change their screens. So these kids are going to be our customers very soon. They're going to want a very different car than they have today. Us old guys born back in the 50s are anti-digital generation. Our kids, my kids at least, are digitally oriented, and the new kids being born today are fully digital. So you can imagine as we go along, things are going to change much, much faster in the near future. The car evolution has been, we've been doing automobiles because automatic mobility was given this name 100 years ago. It's been doing automatic things for a lot of time. Automatic transmission, automatic braking, automatic steering. Many, many automatic things have been growing up until automatic driving. Back in this Google cars is trying to create a whole new series of automatics. And we're going more and more towards automated automobiles. Because the interesting, another thing that's going to change, the OEMs today, and there are many of you in the room today, are going to start dropping off and new players coming into view. LG could be a very possible producer of automobiles in the future. Samsung, Apple, even possibly Google and Microsoft. These are new players that are coming into the digital generation of automobiles. This could be a very big change in the terms of how we're organizing things. Maybe collaboration joint venture between major OEMs and these new players. Self-driving evolution, things are moving very fastly. I did the first self-driving car in Europe, in 2000. This is before the DARPA challenge, before Google. And it was an amazing car, perfectly functional. You could drive around hands-free all day, and it was a drivable concept car called the NEA. And then Fiat, I was working for at the time, just stopped. Didn't do anything for the last 14 years, have did absolutely zero, this whole project. So it's amazing to see how far ahead we were back then and how far behind we are today because we haven't continued along these lines. So what would happen if all of a sudden they say, steering wheels are prohibited. You can no longer drive without steering wheels. You have to cancel all the steering wheels for all your cars. That would be a big change. Well, first of all, what would change the car design and the forms? Second of all, what about car insurance? Do we still have car insurance? Oh, probably for theft or vandalism, whatever. But probably not crash insurance anymore. What about the car? Would cars become like white goods? Because driving cars is so exciting, so thrilling that you want to drive that car like the Formula One car drivers, and then poof, all of a sudden you lose that control of driving, and therefore automobiles become like dishwashers. Really, really boring. Now that would be the end of our profession. We want to find everything possible to avoid that direction. So the first question I want to ask you today is, if you had an autonomous automobile with no steering wheel inside of it, what would you miss? What would you want to have inside that car without the steering wheel? And I don't know why the steering wheels are so important, especially for the guys. A manly man knows he can drive the car. He must have control always. Control at home over his wife, control in the office over his job, control in the car with his steering wheel. Control is a really important thing for manly men. And all of a sudden, poof, the steering wheel is gone, control is gone, and it becomes what we call the eunuch car. You lose your steering wheel, you lose your manliness. And so many people on the blogs, read the blogs about autonomous driving and autonomous automobiles, and they will say, never, ever, ever will I drive a car with an autonomous vehicle. They say self-driving cars are so frightening, so threatening, that they say never, 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 never. So I'm having this thing that maybe control freaks are so tied to this thing. And so what is it about control that makes people feel safe, that I'm controlling everything? 1.2 million people die because of that control every year. And so maybe that control is not exactly what it's supposed to be. There's a whole different story behind that. And people say, no, I don't see any control problems. And so they just avoid these numbers, but unfortunately, those numbers exist year after year. So the objective is 1.2 million deaths per year today, 0 deaths per year tomorrow. Very noble. It's a very important goal in life. We can help mankind by not killing 1.2 million people per year with the things that we are creating every day. It's a fantastic opportunity, right? So it won't be overnight. It'll take from today until 2050 maybe before this actually happens. But we got to start now, doing something to change what's happening. Otherwise, we'll continue going horizontal, 1.2 million deaths. And as China comes in producing more cars, India comes in producing more cars, this could go to 2.4 million or 3.6 million deaths every year if car production keeps rising. So as car production rises, we want to start going down towards 0 deaths per year, 0 accidents per year. It'd be a fantastic dream for all of us. So how can designers, this is one of my major goals, is how can designers recreate that sex appeal that gets lost in autonomous automobiles? Now, the Google cars all use existing hardware, existing automobiles, like this Toyota Prius. Probably people in the audience here today from Toyota, they're very proud of the Prius. They've made 1 million of these full electric cars, which is the biggest contribution to electric car future of all automobile manufacturers in the world. But it's a very today car. It's not a future. So how can we find a way that's going to be even more sexy? If I take away your steering wheel, I give you something else, what could be possibly sexier than a Prius from Google? Well, the answer is simple. Iron Man. Yes. Iron Man is very cool. I mean, individual flight would be fantastic. Who wouldn't want to fly around from your home to your office, from your office to the train station, like Iron Man? It'd be fantastic. But Iron Man also has lots of fun toys he deals with. Digital toys that just drives me crazy thinking about them. All these amazing holograms and Jarvis and stuff, which are full of fun technology. We can take that technology and put it into cars today. Because thanks to new technology we have in the digital world, it's going so fast, now it's feasible. So think about it. If we can start looking at science fiction movies, say, it's really cool. Minority Report with Tom Cruise doing all these amazing things. Iron Man doing amazing things with technology. How about taking that stuff and putting it in our cars? Because we can. Because digital technology is going so fast, it's allowing us to put these stuff in our cars. The question is how, not if. So that we need to have lots of creative people out there in the industry finding new directions for this to put these sci-fi ideas into the cars. So if ex-drivers could now sit anywhere they want in the car because there's no steering wheel, I could sit around backwards, I can sit with my feet up on the dashboard, I can sit anywhere I want because there's no longer any tie between me and the road. So I can even get rid of glass on the car. I no longer need glass on the outside of the car because I don't need to see outside because I'm not driving anymore. I can have a whole theater inside with the movies if I want. Okay? So front seat passengers driving like this, driving the car and saying, "Oh, how was your day yesterday? Yeah, I really like to say, oh Jesus." And you always give your back to your passengers. It's not polite to turn your back on your passengers. So in the future, we're going to have vis-a-vis, like the one on the bottom, where you can actually see face-to-face when you're talking to people, driving on the road, and having a nice conversation with people inside the car. Seats will no longer be tied to crash tests with giant structures and very heavy, ugly, old-school design. Look at them. Zero-G design. Floating seats is a new school design today. And now we're trying to find ways to simulate floating seats as it looks like they're floating, ultra lightweight and light visually. But this is because we're not designing cars for crashes anymore. The 80 Gs for a crash, front-end crash in a car, is going to be, poof, disappear, become part of the past. How about horse intelligence? 200 years ago, a horse could take home a drunken cowboy, no problem. Today, the most expensive automobile in the world cannot do that. So that means that horses are intelligent, automobiles are stupid. We like to find a way to avoid these parking spots for drunken drivers. And how about blind drivers? I think Dennis is going to talk to you about blind drivers in a bit as well. These are amazing opportunities we have for the future where the intelligence we're going to put in cars of the future is going to allow us to have more horse sense. I'm going to talk to you today about VPAs, virtual personal assistants. It's an amazing concept. This started back in 1969 with HAL. HAL was the first VPA because he was a ubiquitous computer. It was wherever you go inside that spaceship, HAL was always there chatting with you. Hey, how was your day today? Would you like to have something to eat? Are you tired? We'll put the lights up, lights down. HAL is always working together with the people. So he was the very first one. He started killing people to sell more movie tickets, but in reality, HAL was a very cool concept. What we want to do is put a virtual digital chauffeur in every car. So this chauffeur is going to be driving down the road asking you, how was your day today? And it allows passengers' well-being to be the first and foremost goal of every automobile because it's an internal concept whereby the people inside the car are feeling fantastic because they can relax, not worry about crashing, not worry about street signs, how to get there, where to park. All these problems are in the past. Now I can just chill out and feel very comfortable. So, Ambrogio. Ambrogio is my hero. Ambrogio is the Italian version of James for the British people. James is the typical name of a butler a chauffeur. In England, in Italy, it's Ambrogio. And Ambrogio is this guy here. There's been not the TV commercials for Ambrogio, and he's an amazing guy. He knows things so well. He has can anticipate your request. He knows what you're thinking, and he can personalize every response. He has a very profound user database. So he knows you ever since you were a kid. He's been working with you. He knows your first skin knee, your first fiancé, your first marriage, your first divorce. He knows everything about you. So he can help you because he knows you. He's your own personal digital chauffeur. Okay? He can also understand ambiguous requests. I'd like to have something to eat, but not really a full meal. How about just a bite? He understands these things because he's tuned in to you. So Ambrogio is going to be a very, very important part of the automobile of the future because he's going to be the intelligence of the car, and you're going to talk to him as if he's your buddy. A normal friend in the car. You get in the car, and he takes everything, makes everything properly personalized, exactly how you like it. Ambrogio is a VPA, a pirate's parrot. That guy's an idiot. Yeah, I know. He's whispering. The parrot's whispering in the pirate's ear, and he's always walking around because the parrots are very intelligent. Hal is a VPA. Alfred from Batman, another VPA. Jarvis from Iron Man, another VPA. These are all virtual personal assistants that are helping us understand that we need to have a digital contact from big data, thanks to the cloud up there, but also a situation manager who's helping us figure out things. Where do I go to get what's the nearest Kinko's? Oh, take a left, take a right, and we're there. So these are people giving us information constantly because people look at their cell phones 150 times per day. That's amazing. Just ask Ambrogio. He'll fix it for you. Why make a call or make a text where you can just have Ambrogio take care of it for you? So what's Ambrogio going to do? 3 different directions Ambrogio is going to work with us. The first one is man-to-machine interface. Second one is machine-to-machine interface. And the third is human-to-human interface, which is the most interesting one. Okay, the first one, man-to-machine interface, is going to start making machines more intelligent and humans more powerful. The typical example of augmented reality for humans is eyeglasses. People can't see very well, put on glasses, and they can see better. Therefore, they have the power of machines, glasses, that allows them to see. We're going to go much further. We're going to have power of muscles, power of thinking, power of memory. We have all kinds of things that the machines are going to offer to us. But then machines are also going to be much more intelligent. They're much more synchronized with humans. And so we'll have a much greater link between machines and humans in the future, thanks to Ambrogio. Car-to-car interface. Remember the movie Disney Cars where the cars are talking together? Hey, how you doing, man? Oh, great. How are you? It's amazing. It's going to happen. Cars are going to be talking. They won't even involve us in the conversation because they're talking one to another. They said, look, move over a little bit. Okay, thank you. They just move over a little bit. They're going back and forth, one and the other, and they never touch one another because they're always talking. Not only car to car, but also car to stop sign, car to building, car to pedestrian. They're always talking. Say, wow, look out for that guy over there. Okay, yeah, I saw him. So they're 5 times per second, 24 hours a day, 365 days per year, cars are going to be talking back and forth. It's an amazing new technology that's going to allow us to have cars working together without our input. And the coolest one is human-human interface. Okay, so each one of us is going to have their own personal VPA, their own personal Ambrogio. Okay, so here's Jane talking to John. Jane has her Ambrogio, and John has his Ambrogio. And while they're talking in a park bench in downtown Tokyo, the 2 Ambrogios are talking. Hey, do you know that Jane really likes you? Really? That's fantastic. I'll tell John. No, don't tell him. Well, no, I'll go ahead and tell him. So you can imagine exchanging information of our digital VPAs above us download information into us, and it's going to change our social characteristics in the future, thanks to how VPAs are going to work together between us. So whenever you talk to someone, our VPAs are going to be talking to each other as well. So that human-human interface is going to change our social characteristics all across the world. Just think of the fact that if we were talking in English to a Japanese person, I understand no Japanese, and Japanese person understands no English. Ambrosia just translates in real time, just like our friends are doing in the back room here. Wonderful, wonderful ladies, translate in real time. That's what Ambrosia will do for us. So we can just talk to anyone we want, and they explain to us in real time what the other person is saying, as if we understand every language in the world. It'd be fantastic. Ambrosia is a real cool guy. Ambrosia can also capture not just images, but also emotions. Remember in Bicentennial Man when he played back the movie of the father dancing with the daughter at the wedding? These are amazing emotional moments in their life. You can capture all those moments and play back them whenever you want. So here's the goal of this new project is first have a problem for cars. We have 1.2 million deaths per year, and how many millions and millions and millions of accidents every year, thanks to the fact that control freaks continue to have accidents. So we're going to go to the first step, man-machine interface, which means hands-free driving. We take away the steering wheel. Okay? That means the digital age is beginning. So number 2, we're going to go for machine-to-machine interface, which means 0 accidents. Now we have no more accidents in the automobile industry. We have no more deaths in the automobile industry. No one will have a problem for this terrible, terrible numbers. We have steering wheels will be completely illegal. Number 3, the final step was man-to-man interface. That's Ambrojo. Ambrojo is going to come along. He said ubiquitous computers, ubiquitous VPAs will completely eliminate smartphones and PCs. Can you imagine that? No more smartphones, no more PCs in our life because Ambrosia takes care of everything. It'd be so much simpler instead of buying the latest iPhone 6 or whatever it might be. You have to stand in line to buy an iPhone 6. Come on. Ambrosia takes care of these things. Okay, one other little interesting thing, swarm technology. We mentioned about how car-to-car technology is going to work. Fish, birds, bees all have no problem whatsoever traveling in giant, giant numbers. Thousands and thousands of animals traveling together with no problem whatsoever. The most interesting thing about swarm technology is that they have no leader. There's not a leader. And lions have leaders. Fish do not. They travel at high speeds in the water, avoiding rocks or sharks, whatever it might be, and they travel at high efficiency. Unfortunately, automobiles do not. Automobiles need to have someone behind the wheel who's having trouble times, and there are accidents and there's traffic jams. So we're going to have big, big problems with our traffic jams unless we go towards swarm technology. That's going to be car-to-car technology, interface technology. So what we have today is Google's working with automobiles with steering wheels because now we have, guess what, the 4th state in America. First Nevada, then California. The 3rd one was Florida. Now Michigan is the 4th state in America that allows for testing autonomous vehicles. But the law says it must have a steering wheel and it must have a driver in case you want to grab onto it and correct something that's going to happen. But what's the problem with this? The problem is if you use existing automobiles, you're having technology from 2020 and design from year 2000. This is the old design. Forgive me if my friends from Toyota, but it's not a car from 2020. This is a car was designed many, many years ago. So my goal is, what if we could design a car specifically for a car with no steering wheel? What would a car look like with no steering wheel? Well, my guys are doing lots of sketches, doing some quick renderings. Here's one of them that came out. I just picked up one off the wall, brought to me today. It could look like this. No windows. Because you no longer need any windows. It's going to be lots and lots of space inside there. It's a very small little car. It's a little city car. And we want to have opportunity of traveling in cities with no steering wheel. And the interesting thing is, what can you do? How can you see out of the car? You have no windows. First, the windows are very expensive, very, very heavy, and they're easy to break. We have no windows, much simpler to make, weighs less. Henry Ford says, what you don't have doesn't cost and doesn't break, doesn't weigh. So there are lots of reasons for not having glass in the car. Because inside the car, you have a cave. The walls inside, the whole walls all the way around you, 360 degrees, are all plastered with OLED screens. So you have cameras that take pictures of the world around you and just puts right through you, as if you're in a glass sphere. You have no A pillar, no B pillar, no C pillar. So whatever you look around you is completely free of any barriers whatsoever. So it'll be a big jump forward. And the nice thing is, when you're driving around downtown, you can see this a pretty car over there, a pretty building over there, but then you get a traffic jam. Ah, jeez, this is really boring. And there's smog, and there's people shouting. You just want to close it out. And what do? You turn off the screens, and you turn on an aquarium. And here's this, a shark swimming by. Because you can. Because you've got screens all the way around you. You can have a theater, a complete immersive theater inside your car, like the cave that Steve was talking about, inside your car. You can, if you don't like aquariums, you can have science fiction. And there's a moon, right? How about a beautiful sunset, romantic sunset for your girlfriend or your boyfriend? How about downtown Tokyo? It'd be really cool if you're in Los Angeles. Right? So these are things that are going to change the way we deal with automobiles, because this is the MAAL project. Okay? And what we're going to do is the goal is to build one prototype, discuss next year, 2015, but one prototype as a demonstrator to show that the technology works. Full electric, no gasoline engine whatsoever, full electric in all four wheels. And we're going to find a way to make it a mobile laboratory whereby we can do lots of experiments inside there to find the best way to create well-being for our people. Here's what happens inside. We have vis-a-vis passengers, right? This is 4.5 meters long. So it's a small little city car, but it has lots of room, like a limousine. Inside, you can really relax like a first-class seat in an airplane. We have the same thing inside this car. As you can see, there's in the top view, there's room for lots of room inside. 4 people watching there, so looking at each other. So be very comfortable inside. These are just a few experiments that we're thinking about doing inside this car. But we're going to invite many clients like you guys. We will rent you a car. You can do your own experiment inside this car. That's going to be the goal of the project, is to build lots and lots of these cars so we can rent them out all across the world to have many people try them. The first one is a new driving experience. How we can create a mobile robot that can work with us while we're driving. So avoid the control freaks and start working on the 5 senses. What are those senses? How can we work with them? Second was artificial feelings, Ambrojo. We're going to work heavily into how Ambrojo understands if we're really moody and broody, or if we're up and bright and happy. We're going to find out how this works inside our car. Honeycomb. We could find new ways of creating new environments inside this car that could be terraforming to find out new ways of fitting people inside an environment. Wearables. I just love wearables. How about a wearable car? It's just like a tailor-made suit that fits perfectly on us. The car pulls up. It's a public car. It's not our owner car. We don't own it. We just use it. You jump in, and Ambrojo transforms the entire interior of the car to fit your specific needs. So it becomes a wearable, and it transforms itself whenever it arrives whenever you get in. This is my favorite one, 3D Skype. Everyone uses Skype here, certainly. You see the person on the screen. Hi, how you doing? Hi, Grandma. It works just fine. But if you're sitting at a stoplight, you look over and here's this beautiful, beautiful woman in a Porsche and say, "Hi, how you doing?" And you do a scan of her, right? And she's, whoop, sits right next to you. Here she is sitting right next to the guy, a hologram of her. She takes off, boom, goes off over there, and she stays in your car chatting with you for the rest of the time. So you have a 3D Skype instead of a 2D Skype because we can. These are amazing apps that are going to be possible if I give you a MAAL, autonomous vehicle, and you said you try these things in your own design center, in your own R&D research centers. You could find new ways of creating new apps for these cars, and somebody is going to make millions of dollars off these things. I'm convinced it's going to transform our entire industry from what it is today to an entirely new direction. Caves. We talked about car caves. Like Steve pointed out, the Autodesk caves are very, very prevalent in the automobile industry. We're going to do the same thing inside the car here. You can see there with the shark swimming around there. We can have a cave inside the car, which will give a 360 degrees visibility of what's happening inside our car. Iron Man. Hey, Iron Man is way too cool. We've got to find ways of putting Iron Man inside each car. All those technological tools that he uses, we're going to have those inside the car, holograms and digital gadgets we're going to put in every car. Morphine. Morphine is a very, very big thing. The military is studying airplanes that look like eagles floating around with very little fuel. Then they see something, they put their wings down, dive down, and catch a fish. Right? That's how eagles work. Very normal for an eagle. Very difficult for swing wing jets like the F-14 from Top Gun. They have this giant hinge. But now they start things are just morph. So we can find ways of morphing. Remember Terminator 2, where the guy comes out of the floor. Well, just think if that guy right there was a seat in your car. The car arrives and it's a flat floor. Ambrosia says, "I need 2 seats because we got 2 people. Steve and I are traveling together. So they can go into a restaurant, 2 seats." And so he says, "Okay, choo-choo." All of a sudden, the floor turns into 2 seats. "Ah, thank you, Ambrosia." And he said, "Could you live a little bit further?" "Okay, a little bit wider." You can tell Ambrosia what you need, and he just changes. Because we have materials that have form memory, like this stuff here on the right. It's just amazing stuff. Beanbag chairs are the most classic idea of morphine chairs existing since the 70s. You've seen pin sculptures? You put your hand in there and take it off, and it keeps the form. We're going to do that inside our cars because they're going to transform themselves into whatever your needs are. But I need somebody to do an experiment inside the car with this stuff on it. Color transformation, we can transform colors. I want blue, she wants green, he wants yellow. We can transform all kinds of colors with new technology. We're looking into color variations after the fact the car has already been sold. These are very interesting opportunities. This explains a little bit about how the cave works. Here's 2 of the 4 walls. We can also have the ceiling and the floor as well. They have 6 areas of total screens all the way around us. It's going to be an amazing opportunity. Here's a typical environment inside. Here we are in downtown Tokyo, and all I see is Bahamas. Splash. And the water just touches your feet, right? And in the meantime, here she is with Iron Man technology on the screens, doing her email or whatever it's going to be with information floating all around her. So this is the new technology we're going to have in cars. Not steering wheels and push buttons and embedded screens. That's really, really old-fashioned. This is going to be the next generation of automobiles. We're trying to find new ways of creating an exciting interface that's going to replace that steering wheel. Did a lot of storyboarding, and this is all in Italian, so I won't read it to you one by one, but how we can get up in the morning, get in the car, get the car going, trying to find new directions of how these things are going to start working. It's designing in experiences, not designing objects. Remember the first slide I showed you back in the beginning, trying to find new ways of getting into situations. My designer's having lots of fun trying to create new environments and new emotions. Okay, this is one of the final slides, business plan outline. I just want to show you what we're working on now. Phase 1 is a technology demonstrator. I'm going to build one prototype with all the totally functional, fully electronic, fully autonomous, no steering wheel, no pedals, and we drive around the city with this car. And we're going to start, the goals are to first to validate the technology, certainly. Second of all, we want to start having a worldwide tour, doing PR, to explain to people like you how well it works. Try it. You say that we'll go for a drive, and it'll explain to you how it works. And the third thing is to create a supplier network, people who can supply this technology for us for the production version of it. The second phase is prototype production and leasing of the cars. So we'll make 5 of them, we'll make 50 of them, maybe 100 of these cars to lease them all around. One to Nissan, one to BMW, one to GM, one to maybe to Apple, maybe to LG. Find lots of different companies that are going to start leasing these cars. So we're going to try to send these prototypes to cars, to clients certainly. We're going to try to support our clients. We're going to monitor their works and record all the experiments that each client does. And here, we want to create a client database and have a regular report for all the clients using these cars so we can create a giant database of all the new experiments that are happening in these cars. Once we start having these cars going around 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years of experience, a giant database is coming out, we can select what are the best things out there, and we can do a full production in sales of the first MAAL car, MAAL production. And the idea is to transform this original concept into production car. We could sell maybe 10,000 of them, maybe 100,000 of them, maybe 1 million of them. But the idea is to start producing them and not just having them concepts, but above all, having them in production. The second goal of phase number 3 is to push lawmakers to start making legislation around the world to govern these elements. Talked with Dennis about robot laws. If this is a robot car, then you'd have to have laws. Who's going to pay if something that goes wrong? Okay. Finally, we start with the test markets in certain countries and certain areas, and then we expand, kind of like Starbucks did or many other companies are doing now. We're going to keep expanding the sales of the car. If the first car goes very well, then phase number 4 is expand the product lineup. We'll do a city bus, maybe a delivery van, things that go into city centers. How about a microcar? Lots of different projects we can imagine we can add to that single car and to do a wider range of cars for them. So increase sales worldwide, number 1. We can make conventional automobiles obsolete. At that point, a normal thermal engine with a steering wheel is going to look really, really old. Kind of like going around listening to the Beatles. They're wonderful music, but it's really, really old stuff. So we're going to make these existing cars very, very old-fashioned. And finally, lobby for international legislation to make sure that legislation comes through and supports all the cars, autonomous cars that are coming out in the world. The final goal is Ambrojo. Phase 5 is Ambrojo. We want to put Ambrojo into full production, and ubiquitous computing will become the new generation for next generation for IT. Sell the system to individuals, groups, companies, and start creating a whole new user database for Ambrojo. And finally, we will make PCs and smartphones completely obsolete thanks to Ambrojo. So this is my business plan. It's a very, very rough business plan right now. Certainly we'll need investors to do this. Probably have different investors for different phases. The first investor will work with a technology demonstrator to build one car, one prototype, all fully functional. Then the second investor will help us build maybe 100 prototypes to work through it and to lease them to different companies. The third and fourth investors will work on production lineup. We need to create a production facility, a network of dealers, the entire work for a new company. And the fourth investor could be a company like Apple, which we want to just use Ambrojo to erase all their iPhones. So this is a whole other world which just goes outside the automobile industry. So, in conclusion, MAAL is going to become a reality. I'm very, very happy to stop talking about cars of the future and start making them. There will be 3 major goals. First, experiential design. I'm going to take away your steering wheel and give you something else. And something else needs to be defined. I'm working very hard on it, but I need your help to start working, defining these things with you guys as well. So the second one is to accelerate self-driving cars in production. Today, they're all concept cars. They're all prototypes. We need to start producing them and selling them, driving on the roads. So by having lots of media coverage of the MAAL project, we will get lots of information, lots of attention worldwide, specifically for the MAAL, but also for self-driving cars in general, which will also help develop new legislation. And finally, making cars intelligent. Ambrojo is going to come into the automobile industry, transform stupid cars into smart cars, and then it'll come out of the car industry and go into IT industry, into companies, into society, into kids' hands, and they will start using Ambrojo as a much more intelligent system compared to iPhones or MacBooks today. Okay, I like to quote Alan Kay, is a friend of mine. He says, the best way to predict the future is to invent it yourself. I believe that 100%. I'm working very hard at inventing the future. I'm convinced that you guys also are working very hard to invent your own future. And why I believe MAAL is a big game changer in the automobile industry. It's going to be a shock to many people, but it's going to be a welcome to many others. We're looking for like-minded allies. So if you're interested in working on the MAAL project, very happy to have you on board the project, working with us in a consortium. And so if you're happy to talk to you after the presentation. And these are my data. So if you'd like to take note, I'd be very happy to meet with you sometime during the day. MAAL is going to be a prototype you could drive very, very soon. At that point, we'll move forward and start working on new applications inside the interior to create this well-being for automobile industry worldwide. Appreciate your time, and thank you very much. I'll have to talk to you very soon. Bye.
ありがとうございました。